We want to have a grown-up conversation here. So what we will do is present our thoughts as clearly and concisely as possible and invite you guys to join in this conversation, whether you agree with our points or not. Conversation and getting to know someone else's point of view is good. If you're trying to just be toxic, you should know we genuinely do not care. We just want to have a grown-up talk with mature people, and we will, with or without you. So with that being said, let's talk about Concord.
Actually, we're lying. We will talk about Concord, but today's video really isn't about Concord itself. It's about everything that's going on around it. You already know the story. Firewalk Studios was formed in 2018 by some prominent developers from around the industry, particularly ones we knew from Bungie. Given their pedigree, fans were obviously looking forward to seeing what they were working on, and finally last year the news broke that the studio was being purchased by PlayStation. Right afterwards, the trailer dropped. 7 years of work, and the team was excited to show a glimpse of what they were proud to have been working on. And unless you're completely unplugged from gaming discourse, you know what happened next. That trailer was immediately slammed. For a lot of different reasons, but the two main ones were one, that the characters were terrible, generic versions of James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy characters, and two, that no one wanted to actually pay money for a new PvP-only hero shooter in today's economy. Hearts must have been broken that day in that studio. All that work and all that excitement long built up, and then when they finally are able to give just a little taste of what they had planned, the feedback was a shit show.
And I guess since Sony and Firewalk believed in what they had, they kept going. And why wouldn't they? They are the only ones who knew exactly what the possibilities were with Concord. For the next year, they gave out small details and previews for fans, and, probably much to their surprise, the general disgust the loud gaming public had for that first trailer grew and grew until it became full-on rage. So, sticking to the plan, Concord's first beta was announced. Surely people would play the game, actually give it and its characters and its world a chance, and maybe give the game a fair shake, right? Wrong. Did you know there are characters in this game that are fat? That there is a female character that is not designed after an Instagram model in 2024? What the hell are they even doing over there at Firewalk? And oh my a pronoun. Those two little words next to someone's name can turn a grown man into a tantrum-throwing baby. Concord was already pretty low on the gaming radar as far as new releases go, and a very loud group of people decided to make it their mission to insert themselves into any conversation about Concord, from any influencer or streamer or content creator or gaming website or anything, and just go full-on toxic. Throughout that first beta, it was relentless, and if some regular person had even a passing interest in trying that game out, the vitriol made sure they stayed far, far away. Nobody was going to talk about Concord unless it was about how ugly the characters are, or about how few people are playing it, or about how the woke agenda is being shoved down their throats, and that last one is really funny to me. They are the ones who brought the politics into the issue, and then they cry about it? You really can't make this stuff up.
Now you have a situation where Sony and Firewalk have a game ready to go. They want to get people playing it so the players can see for themselves if they would like it. But the new toxic pastime is dunking on Concord so people don't come out in big numbers to play that first beta. They don't come out to play the second open beta either. Hundreds of people, millions of dollars, years of these developers' lives, and the online hate is so loud, the game has no chance of a big launch. This is where we're going to start our talk, because this is 2024. You do remember that more game developers have lost their jobs in the first half of this year than in all of last year, and 2023 was considered a tragedy, right? 2024 has been absolutely brutal. And gamers, for their part, have mostly shown support. In a real show of growth and maturity, the ire about these layoffs falls on the executives of these big companies for the greedy decision making that causes so many of their employees their livelihoods. And that's a great thing. So then why the hell would you wish failure on a gaming company? Even if it's for a game that you don't like, or you don't care about, or you're not gonna play. It doesn't surprise me that some people don't like this game. Not every game is for every person. Look at this newly announced game from Valve. Some PC gamers are going absolutely nuts over it, and I could not care less. These characters and environments look bland, the gameplay doesn't look fun, it's just not for me. But I don't spend any part of my time wishing failure upon it or the people that made it. I'm glad some people find it fun and are looking forward to it. Concord has plenty of people that like it. Like the way it's designed, like the world and its characters, like the gameplay. I've also heard the argument that the game has zero marketing, and I don't really think that's the case. Remember that this crazy amount of vitriol around this game has been present from the very first trailer release, and none of us knows what goes on behind closed doors there. But it was pretty obvious that more money thrown into more advertisement wasn't gonna move the needle. Maybe the plan is to just play the slow game and allow the game the time to find its audience when the loud and the ignorant move on. Or maybe they just gave up. Who knows? The way Firewalk is treated, can you be surprised at all that they just stopped talking publicly?
And nobody can say, oh, what about good-natured teasing and mocking just for fun? Obviously that's fine to do, but you're talking about something you do among friends. And something you stop when you see you have crossed a line. That line was crossed a long time ago. Bottom line, we are talking about empathy for fellow human beings. People doing their best to bring some new ideas into the world. What if these devs were friends of yours? It's easy just to say, well, they should have made some better characters or a better game or whatever, but this is a real business. A team. No one person is responsible for how this came together. These artists worked hard to put this out. Anyone who opens their eyes and actually looks at the game they released can see that. And some people out there love it. Maybe you don't, and that's fine. What's stopping you from leaving it to those who do like it and moving on? I've heard this game's launch is the worst for a live service. Maybe the worst launch of all time. With all seriousness, with the fervor at which the game and its creators were attacked, how could it not have released this way? Every part of this game's release was a thoughtfully considered choice, and instead of just deciding the game isn't something they wanted to play and moving on, so many people invested so much time into creating as much hatred as possible. A lot of the biggest PvP games out there are free to play. But that success blinds people to the fact that so many new PvP games come out and fail to find an audience, and that financial risk is why PvP games in general are so stale. If you have to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to fund the creation of a game, but you can't charge people to play it, you have to find increasingly sneaky and underhanded ways to get as much money as you can from as many of the players as you can, as fast as possible. Firewalk chose to avoid all that and just charge an upfront fee, not even full price. Not a choice that's going to work for everyone, but for those who are not a fan of free-to-play or of microtransactions, we're 100% good with it. Another gripe was the story, and some people's anger that a PvP-only game shouldn't focus on story. Again, this is something people don't want, sure. Look at Splitgate or the finals. They are built to be literally esports the video game and feature blank slate avatars in team uniforms shooting each other in arenas with cheering fans watching. And again, not everyone thinks this is interesting or ideal. The world Firewalk built is rich, and I suspect built for much more than just this PvP shooter. I suspect they had big plans on where they were going to take this world and characters. But now, who knows? While content creators are out there laughing at quote-unquote train wreck of their own creation, I'm sure some Firewalk employees aren't sure if they'll have a job soon. And for what? Did these creators do something evil to people? Did they sneak in some predatory monetization? Did they release a buggy and unfinished game to grab some quick cash? As far as anyone can tell, they released the game that they wanted to. And even if it's not the game that you wanted, what is wrong with that?
At some point, people have to realize that while yes, greedy game company executives can make terrible decisions that run beloved studios into the ground, other casualties in the gaming space are absolutely on us. Gamers themselves are responsible for what we put out in the world. It's absolutely fine if Firewalk put out a game that nobody wanted to play and got shut down because of it. Make no mistake, this is the game that they wanted to make. But in this reality that we live in, Firewalk put out a game that is well made, fun to play, lots of people like it, but the hate around it was so loud and so pervasive that it never had a chance. We'll never know if it was going to fail on its own because people were so invested in its failing, made so much content to cover it even though it hadn't even happened yet, that they caused the failure just to make sure. Is that the kind of gaming content you like to watch? Does every game need to be what you specifically like? And if it's not what you like, should it not be allowed to exist for other people to like it? Our gaming culture should be ashamed of itself, and our so-called influencers are cowards. No part of what just happened is okay.